I would like to talk just a little bit about the Nyung practice that we're going to be starting in the morning. Um, Nyung is one of my favorite practices. I think it's a Catholic hangover of purification. I find this often the Catholics really like Nyung because you feel so clean at the end. You know, it has a very strong psychological and even a physical effect on the body. There aren't very many austere practices in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, but this is one of them. So the practice has three sections to it. The first section is called the Preliminaries, and that's where we're doing some praises and going through the seven-limb prayer and prostrations and accumulating merit and purifying, basically. And then there's a self-generation for those people who have taken the thousand-armed Chenrezig initiation, where we actually do a little meditating on emptiness and imagine arising as the deity, and then going through certain activities as the deity. And then the third part of the practice is called a front generation, where we imagine in the place where the mandala house is, we imagine Chenrezig being generated again out of emptiness, and then doing certain practices of accumulating merit in relation to the front generated deity, especially offering the torma. That's one of the main activities we do with the front generation. So it has these three sections, and it's just a beautiful practice in and of itself, just going through the sadhana. There's a section where we do some mantra recitation. We'll do the long Chenrezig mantra and also have some time for the shorter versions as well. And while we're doing that, we're visualizing ourselves being purified as well as purifying all the beings and the environments around us. Now, the thing that really gets people's attention about Nyung is that it involves fasting. In fact, the word Nyung, or the term Nyung, means abiding in the fast. And so the first day we take the 8 Mahayana precepts and we just have lunch that day. Meanwhile, we're doing this practice, which includes a fair amount of prostrations. There's a long praise that we recite 21 times to Chenrezig, thousand-armed Chenrezig. And while we're reciting that, then we're prostrating. And, you know, I'm assuming that everyone will just do this at their own pace, at their own speed, whatever works for them. It's not a competition, and there's no prize at the end if you get the most prostrations, although maybe we could think about one. But this is a prostration, isn't it? And also, we can do the short prostration. Even just bowing from the waist, that's a perfectly valid prostration. But you will see that some of the people doing the practice will do full prostrations. And some people you really get into a groove and you can just really rip out a lot of prostrations very quickly. So it just depends. There's a lot of variation. Then the second day, we don't eat anything that day and we don't drink anything that day. And we don't speak throughout the day. So we've covered all our bases, right? We're not going to create any non-virtue through our verbal activities, and we're not going to have attachment for food, which is a common attachment, isn't it? But throughout the day, we'll be doing the sadhana 3 times and really observing our mind and thinking about, we're doing this voluntarily, or the people who are coming have all volunteered to come here. There's no coercion. And so if we think about we can use whatever discomfort we have in the practice to think about those beings in the hungry ghost realm, for instance, or even in the animal realm that don't have an opportunity to eat like we do. And so it's a great opportunity to do some Tonglen, to take on the suffering of countless beings, even in the human realm, right? Countless beings who suffer through hunger and thirst. I also personally feel like this is a great preparation for our inevitable death. That by voluntarily taking on some potential suffering, we become familiar with it, and we are no longer so afraid of experiencing the suffering of hunger and thirst and things like that, or the dizziness that you might experience, in the morning that we break the fast from a little bit of dehydration. So I think there's such a beautiful protection that comes with the practice because it's done with as much as we can with a strong bodhicitta motivation for the benefit of all sentient beings. Actually, it's really a practice for lay people because in a very short period of time, you can accumulate and purify a lot. But of course, it's open to monastics too. So that's just a little bit about the practice. Maybe people watching the BBC can just recite some Mani mantras along with us, or maybe do the practice in the, I think it's in the Red Book, and just to participate with us in that way.